Welcome back, everyone. Continuing on with my Drive to Survive reaction series for season 7. So, up next is episode 3 called Looking Out for Number 1. Without Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes has a seat to fill for 2025. George Russell thinks he's ready to step up to lead driver, but does Toto Wolff agree? I'm guessing this might get into Toto maybe trying to sign Max or Carlos, and then maybe we'll actually see Kimi in this one. We'll see. Yeah, and then we'll probably get George crashing in Australia and a little bit of BTS with George. So let's get going.
There just never feels like a time where I'm not going to be.
Okay, this is really going to get into Lewis, obviously.
Yeah, because it's like, it's my home, it's my family.
It's interesting he wasn't looking at the camera when he was saying all that.
Are we been in touch?
No.
Breaking news from the world of Formula One.
Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari for the 2025 season.
Surprised they didn't show a bad Mercedes pit stop there. That would be more realistic. Monte Carlo. Seems like every episode we stop in here. I mean, obviously, because they all live there, but... Oh, I love CZ. There's rumors she might run for FIA president, which I think would be great. Although this is the time where I think there potentially being a conflict of interest with Toto leading Mercedes would come into play. I don't think there's any validity to her running F1 Academy because there's completely separate series, but if you're the regulator for the series that Toto is directly involved in, that is a bit worrying. So I don't know. We'll see what they decide with that.
From outside the team, who can be that leader? Or does he promote from within? Does he look across to the other side of the garage and give that opportunity to George Russell?
And the interesting thing with this though is that and I've got into this with my 2026 drivers predictions, where the fact that Toto was looking at Max and was looking at Carlos kind of, and even Fernando, it's like he doesn't have 100% faith in George. Like, I feel like if he had 100% faith in George, he would have picked Kimi right away, but the fact that he molded over a little bit makes me think that George isn't on the level of talent that an obvious choice would be, you know?
Start a new era with a long contract with Fernando.
No.
It's an interim.
I think it's 45.
No, I don't think it's that old. You don't think Max is an option?
I think he is. I haven't talked to him because I promised Lewis not to talk to him.
Oh, interesting.
Conversation now. I think it would be disingenuous to say I wouldn't want to work with Max.
But does Max want to work with you? Is the question.
Situation. It's taken a toll.
Red Bull remain in turmoil. There is a line of thinking that this could lead to Max Verstappen wanting to find a
Okay, so now they might get into it.
Max is trying to get out of his contract to join Mercedes. That's what we think.
Oh, you think?
Absolutely explosive.
I guess there was a brief period where it was kind of sounding like that.
Well, you know, the thing is, no one would have ever realized or seen that Lewis would move to Ferrari. So you can never say 100%.
And he's not shutting it down.
His father, Jos, and I have been speaking regularly about what was happening and how we were to go about it when it comes to Max or Mercedes.
A contract is a contract. Somebody either wants to be in a team or they don't want to be in the team. And if they don't want to be in the team, it's just the terms of which that they can go well.
Toto smile. He it's like a frown smile, like a half 50-50.
Why isn't he giving George the love?
See, Christian saying what I'm saying here. There's something in him that doesn't think that George is a good enough talent to get it done. Clearly George is a fantastic qualifier, but his race pace has left much to be desired. Oh my goodness, George. That's quite the fit.
I'm George Russell and I race for Mercedes MG Petronas F1 team.
Yeah, I guess they've never really done that much with George in this show, have they?
It's always amazing coming here. I raced here as a kid.
Oh, I guess they did little bits with Carmen and stuff.
When George arrived at Mercedes, he really arrived with that need to prove he was the future of the team. But is it too harsh to say that George still makes too many mistakes?
George Russell hits the wall. Look
I was at that race.
Silverstone, his home race. It's the perfect place for George to really lay down a marker.
If they were gonna make the big deal about Australia, why are they doing Silverstone first? This is weird. Unless maybe they're not gonna show that at all, but who knows? Is that some pumpernickel?
Nice job.
Russell got Did I completely forget about that? I completely forgot that that happened.
Surely it's not professional.
Oh, thank you. Good one, eh?
I love George's cunty little headband. Guess that's what he figured out to do to get the sweat from dripping out of his eyes. I'm trying to remember what happened to George in this race. I want to say he DNF'd at some point.
Lando push hard to Russell.
It's interesting that they're framing this as George losing it.
Retire the car, George.
Okay.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, he did retire, that's what I thought.
Even before the DNF, I'm not convinced that it was going to be George's day. A few too many mistakes left the door open for other drivers.
This was a bit weird that they're framing it like this.
Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix.
Get in there, Lewis! You're the man!
And that they've made Lewis's win into the George storyline. I don't know if I like what they did here. Oh, and then they're definitely going to show the Spa disqualification too.
Are you sure about that?
Toto needs somebody who will call the shots both in the car and out of the car.
The interesting thing though is like George does call the shots, but they never seem to trust him. Like I'm thinking of Brazil when he knew the right thing to do would be to stay out and they didn't trust him about that.
Max has all the ingredients to drive with us. He's had so much success with Red Bull, but now it's about time to look at Mercedes. But it's Max's decision. He needs to come to a point where he says, this is what I want to do.
Simple yes or no. Will you be driving for Red Bull next year, please?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I can see why Max didn't leave right now, but I do think that he's going to be looking to move soon.
Okay, so who else? What about George? He needs to deliver. That's the only criteria that is important.
That could have been about Kimi as well. Wasn't necessarily about George. Toto and George bonding moment.
But to be my lead driver, he needs to continue on that trajectory.
Yeah.
Faultless execution under pressure matters.
Yeah. Oh, my baby boy. You okay, Jasper? What's going on? Oh no. Okay. Had a brief interruption there. Our cat threw up on my floor. Not sure if you even got that on the video. May or may not include that. Bringing back the snacks. Got a Canadian staple, all dressed chips. Try not to crunch too loud.
Be a leader, be bold. This is what you need to be capable of.
Classic short, shirtless George.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Belgian Grand Prix.
George, just confirming you're happy to stay out.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're framing this as, yeah, George making the decision. I'm curious to see if they'll show that it was a DSQ.
I think that was one of my best races ever.
I'd agree. I do feel so bad for him.
I'm taking control of this team and I'm going to move it forward, which he did by determining his own strategy.
I was screaming, one stop, tires are good, tires are good.
Aww, just look how excited he was.
I have confidence in George that he has the maturity and the speed to be the lead driver for next year. So who is it that we're putting next to George?
Yeah. Oh. I love this. You look great on this.
How was school?
Good.
School! Oh my god.
Famous room.
Teenager. Famous room. He's too short
I
for
think you're the youngest person ever in that chair.
Am I? That's crazy.
He's so young. He's just a baby. Just a little guy.
Have you got your actual driving license?
No. I'm 17
That's
still.
insane.
I cannot wait for that.
What did you raise? It's amazing. Mohammed, I'm just getting in the car now. I call you later, okay? FIA president.
Gross.
I enjoy watching this more.
Lying to the FIA prez. Way to go, Toto. Aw, I have that car.
Toto Bear. He's taking care of the trophy, so it's good. He's doing a good job.
Wow.
We've organized that WhatsApp call to break the news that you're a Mercedes Formula 1 driver next year.
Oh my god. That's a great news.
Oh, they actually got it on camera. That's so nice.
Sono Mercedes. Del prossimo anno.
Aww. That's so neat that they showed that. I really like that.
Where's Luis?
He's not here.
Okay. Okay. I just said it now.
Oh, I really hope Kimi does well. Okay, so they didn't mention that George got disqualified. I think I liked that episode in a sense that it confirmed how I had been feeling about Mercedes and that they were kind of on the fence about committing to George. And so they were looking to see if they could get someone better than him to go next to him. And then they would have probably dropped George and brought Kimi in for 2026, I guess. I think that is still a potential road that they might go down. I don't necessarily like how they did that, like especially the Silverstone race. That kind of bothered me because I think that should have been a moment where they really celebrated Lewis and they kind of made it more into a moment of discounting George, which I think I didn't really like. Yeah, I really like that ending with them actually being with Kimi when he got the news. That's really cool that they got that on camera. Obviously he probably would have guessed that that was what was happening if he was at their house, but yeah, I would hope that that had been like the actual call that they had told him, because that's really cool that they got that moment. I'm really excited to see more of Kimi's personality. I feel like he's a driver that I haven't seen much of apart from F2 last year and a few TikToks here and there that Prema put out, because they do a really good job with their social media. There's a couple classic videos from back in the day with Charles or Oscar, Logan, like, oh my god, the one that's Suzuka.
Altissimo Zucca.
It's one of my favorite videos ever. They're just both so confused. It's so funny. Anyways, yeah, I'm hoping that we'll see a little bit more of Kimi this coming year, and I don't know, he seems like so quintessentially Italian and it makes me laugh. So yeah, I'm excited to see how he does. But yeah, so overall I think I liked aspects of that episode but didn't like other aspects of it. And especially I feel like they didn't really talk about the Australia crash at all, which would have played more into that narrative than the Silverstone race, so that was a bit weird. And then obviously the fact that they didn't even mention the fact that George got DSQ'd from Belgium, but it makes sense that like I think they were impressed with his drive and that like that gave them the confidence to trust George for the future. So like the disqualification didn't really play into the narrative that they were trying to sell. But yeah, a little bit of fudging happening in that one, and I think not necessarily in a good way. So yeah, that was my thoughts on episode 3. Watch out for the next 7 episodes that are remaining. Let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Toodles.